to whatever this thing is. My name is Jhintro, aka the Legacy Creative, aka the Introverted Socialite, and this is episode number 1 of the podcast. I appreciate y'all for supporting. I appreciate all of the downloads, the subscribes, the reviews, everything has been amazing. It's been a journey to get here. If we're being honest, this episode was originally going to be a very thought-provoking conversation on Black intellect and artificial intelligence with none other than my good friend Kevin Bosick. However, the snow decided to cancel literally everybody else. So I figured, just for consistency purposes, it's just going to be me. Honestly, it's a blessing in disguise because I feel like I started to create from a place of obligation, of structure, and, trying to fill the standard that's been set by the world, and not one that necessarily aligns with how I see myself as an individual and how I see myself as a creative. It was all spreadsheets and all schedules, and I started to get a little bit overwhelmed, and I'm glad I noticed early because I'm the type to continue through it and just be stressed out and try to force my way through, even though it's taking a toll on me. So I'm actually very glad that this shit happened. And in general, I feel like there's a lot of conversations I've been having with people that kind of align with that. I was talking to a very good friend of mine that hopefully I can have on the podcast one day. And she was telling me about how she was trying to make a video on TikTok, and, she's diving into it fully, you know what I'm saying? So exploring the transitions and all the stuff that, Gen Z has mastered since its inception. But it's a skill set to do that. And it's also a lot of work, and they don't really show that part, in the videos all the time. And it can weigh heavily on creatives. And I definitely believe that there is a difference between a pure creative and an industry creative, right? So a pure creative in my mind is one who's motivated by inspiration and joy and, just the general expression and the fulfillment that comes in that. And I believe that a industry creative is one who is usually more geared towards marketing or a brand or whatever. That's their motivation. And then they use creative tools to accomplish that. But those things can be accomplished without creative tools in different ways as well. So for me, I view myself as a pure creative. So I want to try to make sure that I align with that in every layer of life, just being true to how I see myself. So who am I? My name is Joshua Howard. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. Shout out Brick City. Raised most of my life in Plainfield. I went to high school at Bishop George R. in Edison. Graduated and then enrolled at Rowan University and got my BA in radio, TV, film production with concentrations in both creative writing and new media. So it's literally perfect for everything that I do in life. And I feel like my degree is worth a lot more now in 2022 than it was when I got it. But yeah, graduated and I had a pretty interesting career and a pretty dynamic career, which I feel like matches who I am as an individual. So for me, my biggest fear was being pigeonholed. And that's something that a lot of people warn you about when you start to enter video production in general. They usually say, be careful about where you decide to work, what jobs you decide to take, because if you get known for that, that's all you're going to get hired for. Being somebody that always saw myself as a dynamic individual, that's something that I was very conscious of moving into my career. So I've worked on everything from indie horror films to reality shows to live events. And I feel like my career kind of peaked in around 2017. At the time, I was working for a company that did a lot of work for some well-known brands. They really put me in positions where I was challenged. I felt like I was growing as a creative and as a professional as well. So I ended up producing shows for New York Fashion Week. I've directed things with Aziz Ansari and Edward Snowden interview. There's some things in there. I've also had my side jobs working on reality shows with Rev Run. The Jersey Shore crew. I've done work with them. So it's a lot of decent things there, but I felt like my life didn't really align with my life goals. And once I realized that I could not sustain that life anymore. And that's something that I'm grateful I was aware of, because I think that it would have been very easy to get stuck there. But when I looked at my life and when I looked at my life goals and I saw the difference in that, I was like, something has to change. I would be traveling for 28 days out the month, come home for 2 days just to do laundry and then go back out again. At that point, I decided to make a change, and I switched jobs and started working at a local broadcast station in my hometown of Plainfield, New Jersey. Shout out PCTV. You know what I'm saying? Shout out everybody watching on PCTV. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, I immediately noticed a difference. Like, I had my evenings and my weekends for the most part. I do have the occasional shoot during those times, but this job has definitely allowed me to have more of a life, and start to repair some of the relationships that I damaged in that time where I was gone and only trying to worry about, okay, what's the next step? Where can I go next? So for me, that lesson and just being able to pivot once you identify something is askew was essential, because if you're working 28 out of 30 days a month and you're only coming home to do laundry, you can't really build a family around that. You can't invest in property because there's not really a point. You can do it, but it will be a waste of money. So I'm literally just going through the list and seeing all these things that I was being blocked from. So it was definitely a transition, because I think that, once you get to certain positions, it's hard to remove yourself from it. But I'm thankful that I've always been the type to honor what I felt. Whether it be something that I've realized about myself or something, that God has revealed to me. Like, I think that I've always tried to do a good job of being true to that. I always value truth over being right. I always value truth over my pride a lot of times. So even when it comes to this podcast, I want to make sure I'm being as straight up, like, this is me, like my raw self. It's always coming from a place of, raw expression, creative output that aligns with how I see myself, the way that I think, the things I'm interested in. I don't want to feel restricted by things outside of myself. Like, I feel like a lot of times we try to align with what the world is doing, what the culture is doing, what, influencers are doing, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I want to be happy doing the things that I'm doing. I want these things to bring me joy, because I do love creating, and there's definitely a huge difference. Going back to, my TikTok friend, I was asking her to kind of describe to me the difference between the TikTok trend that she was trying and these other videos that she made, where you could literally feel the passion and the excitement through the lens. Like, you can tell that she was excited about making these. And for me, even the fact that there is a difference means that there's also a choice that you can make between content that fulfills you, content that excites you, that gets you energized, and ones that drain you, ones that you're doing for external validation. So for me, everything that I do, even outside of this, but especially here, I want to make sure it aligns with the former. I want to make sure that it's fulfilling. I want to make sure that it's intriguing, it's captivating, it stimulates my mind, my curiosity, and inspires me. So hopefully y'all will take this journey with me. It's going to be amazing. We're going to discover new things about ourselves and hopefully impact some things that we had hidden, so that we can present a fuller self to the world. So thank you very much for listening. If you are interested in following us, you can do so on Instagram and TikTok at WTTI Official. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to be a guest, make sure to send us an email at WTTIPOD@gmail.com and subscribe to us on YouTube at whatever this thing is. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for watching. Catch you on the next one.